Hey folks, we're talking about some of the most common injuries we see in South Carolina nursing home abuse and neglect cases. These cases also include assisted living facilities, but I'm just going to call them nursing homes for convenience. So some of the most frequent injuries we see in our cases are broken bones from falls, especially hip fractures and bed sores. So let's talk about hip fractures. According to an American Medical Association study, nursing home residents are twice as likely to sustain a hip fracture. And in that study, 1 in 3 subjects passed away, including almost half the men. So here's how a broken hip can lead to a wrongful death case in a nursing home neglect case. First, there's surgical risks. Anytime you have to have an operation, and broken hips are often repaired by an operation, you are opened up to the risk of surgical complications that in the elderly population can be lethal. The next risk is the loss of mobility in a long recovery period. A resident recovering from an operation may be bedridden or need a wheelchair for weeks or months. Some of them sadly lose the ability to walk or even care for themselves. That long-term or permanent loss of mobility can lead to muscle loss, opening them up to bed sores, infections, and just the body shutting down. Now let's talk about bed sores. Bed sores are one of the most common signs of neglect in the nursing home setting. They result when an immobile resident is left in the same position for too long. The pressure on the skin from being left in the same position for too long cuts off the blood supply, causing the skin to break down. That forms an open sore. These sores often appear on the hips, the low back, the heels, and the elbows. Left untreated, these bed sores can open the patient up to experience lethal infections. And here is how a bed sore in a nursing home neglect case can cause a wrongful death. First and foremost, deadly infections that spread to the bone and deep tissues that the resident can't fight off. And then there's sepsis. That is an infection caused by bacteria from an infected bed sore that enters the bloodstream, causing organ failure that can lead to death. Now, let's talk about why falls and bed sores occur in South Carolina nursing home neglect cases. Some of the most common causes of falls include, first and foremost, unsafe conditions. These are easily preventable situations like wet or cluttered floors, poor lighting, or unstable furniture. Then there's lack of supervision or help. If staff isn't paying attention or they ignore an immobile resident's call for help, that resident can fall trying to get out of bed or fall just trying to walk without help. Another cause of falls in nursing homes is the lack of adequate safety equipment. That includes bed rails, bed alarms, and grab bars in hallways, bedrooms, and bathrooms. There's also the failure of staff to observe medication changes. That includes a resident's response to a new medication or a change in the level of an old one. These changes can cause residents to experience balance or awareness problems that enhance their risk for falls. The last major cause of falls in the nursing home setting is staff's failure to observe a resident's change of condition. Staff has always got to be on the lookout for any changes in a resident's overall health, mobility, or mental status. Now let's talk about the causes of bed sores. Bed sores are completely preventable. Common causes of them are primarily failure to reposition. And then there's poor hygiene. If a resident is left in wet or soiled bedding or underwear, that moisture can cause skin to break down. Finally, malnourishment and dehydration also break down the skin. Now let's talk about one of the major overriding causes, the root causes of a lot of nursing home neglect and abuse in South Carolina. It's tied to the staff. There's two major factors. Number one, understaffing. The fact of the matter is, folks, the real reason most nursing homes exist is to make money for the owners. Hiring enough staff cuts profits. Residents pay the price. The second staff-related root cause of nursing home neglect and abuse in South Carolina is unqualified, untrained, unsupervised staff. They either don't know how to properly care for or protect residents, or they aren't held accountable for doing it. So when is an injury a potential sign of neglect or abuse in a nursing home case? I'd tell you that any severe injury, especially a broken bone or a bed sore and its complication, indicates nursing home neglect and abuse. It just shouldn't happen in a facility intended to protect and care for vulnerable residents. If you're scared or worried that you've got a loved one who's suffering nursing home neglect and abuse and has been seriously injured as a result, one thing's for sure: you're going to need some legal guidance. I can give it to you, and it won't cost you a thing. Just contact me. I thank you for thinking about this with me, and I hope I see you soon.